Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Buckeye Politics. It's me, your favorite Ohioan. Today, we're going to be looking at Herschel Walker, the Republican in the state of Georgia, has began his surge and has looked like to be on pace to win the Senate election against incumbent Democrat Raphael Warnock. As you can see here in the polls, for the longest time, Raphael Warnock had a pretty solid lead, although this is on RCP. Depending on the pollster, Herschel Walker seemed to have a pretty sizable lead at times, although according to this, like it says Raphael Warnock had a lead. This race has always pretty much been neck and neck. Especially once September came out and more polls began to come out, RCP began to reflect the state of this race, with polls going back and forth between Walker and Warnock throughout the month of September, with Raphael Warnock eventually taking a narrow lead by the end of the month. And then we all know about the scandals that hit Herschel Walker's campaign at the beginning of October. His own son unendorsed him, and a woman from a long time ago in his past came out and claimed that he paid her to have an abortion to cover up their affair. And as such, Herschel Walker began to plummet in the polls, at one point falling as low as 42% to Raphael Warnock's 48%. And at this point in time, a lot of people, especially on the right, said that we ran the wrong candidate. Herschel Walker was too scandal-plagued. This race was over. Warnock was going to win. Herschel Walker began a small surge after the debate where he had an incredible performance. He managed to really put Warnock on his toes, managed to defend his own record, and as such managed to make the race a little bit closer. And since then, Raphael Warnock has just absolutely collapsed. And at this point in time, Herschel Walker has about a 1.5 lead in the polls over Raphael Warnock, and it looks like that's going to continue to grow. At this point, I do expect Herschel Walker to win the election. I expect polls to kind of go back and forth, but give him a narrow edge, and I think he'll win by about 2 points or so on election night, maybe a little bit less. We'll have to just wait and see. However, the interesting thing about Georgia is whether or not this election will go to a runoff. If you did not know, the state of Georgia, along with several other southern states, has this interesting thing where basically, if a candidate does not reach 50% of the vote, then there will be a runoff with just the top two candidates to see who wins, basically. They did that. They've been doing this for a long time in the South. A lot of countries do this for their presidential elections. But like I said, for whatever reason, a lot of states in the South do this. And right now, as you can see here, Raphael Warnock is currently polling at 46%. Herschel Walker is polling about 47%. So really, right now, neither candidate is all that close to 50%. Walker is 3 points away. Warnock is 4 points away. Neither candidate is really close to 50%. And that's the big thing, because even if Herschel Walker wins on election night, it's not guaranteed that he wins the runoff. We saw this in 2020. David Perdue, the incumbent Republican, managed to win an election night in Georgia against John Ossoff. He won by about 1.5 on election night in November, but he did not reach 50%, so there was a runoff, and he lost, and that's why we have a split. The Democrats have control of the Senate, is because, yes, David Perdue did win on election night, but during the runoff, he lost. So, just because Walker is favored now does not necessarily mean, and even if he wins an election night, that doesn't necessarily mean he's going to win the runoff. However, I think Herschel Walker is in a pretty good spot to win the runoff, unlike David Perdue, for one big reason, and that is the energy factor. In 2020, our Democrats managed to flip the state of Georgia for the first time since like the 90s or so. The Democrats in Georgia had been for the longest time just getting absolutely trounced. They managed to very narrowly flip the state. They had all the energy, and they managed to very narrowly defeat David Perdue in the runoff. However, I think we're going to see a reverse of that. I mean, right now, Republicans are surging in states like Pennsylvania, Arizona, Nevada, pretty much every single state, and it looks like Republicans are going to take back the Senate. I mean, Oz is pretty much, it looks like almost guaranteed to win at this point. Every single poll since the debate has had him up by 3 to 4 points. In Nevada, Adam Laxalt continues to hold his lead. State of Arizona, Blake Masters has gotten this race neck and neck, and he'll probably take the lead any time now, according to some pollsters. So let's say Republicans win all those states. That gives them a 52-48 majority. The Republicans are basically guaranteed to flip the House by sizable margins. So Republicans flip both the House and the Senate, and Democrats are going to be absolutely demoralized. I mean, we saw the same thing in 2020 with the Republicans after the election. I mean, in 2020, Republicans just didn't really turn out. They were demoralized. They just suffered. Trump had lost. The Senate was in jeopardy. We weren't able to flip the House, and they did not turn out. Well, Democrats had all the energy, and they met after their vast victories, and allowed them to pull off a very narrow win in the runoff. I would expect the opposite thing to happen just for the Republicans. I mean, the Republicans are going to have all the energy. They're going to have flipped both chambers of Congress already, and I think that energy is going to carry Herschel Walker to a win in December, even if he loses in November, which is still possible. I'm not saying Warnock is like absolutely going to lose. I think just Walker, just no matter how you slice and dice it, clearly has an advantage as of now. So with that, thank you for watching this video. I do hope you enjoyed, and if you did, please like and subscribe for more.